What a night, UEFA Champions League between Real Madrid and Manchester City. The Los Merengues and the citizens actually share the spoil. Welcome you on the show, 360 Sports on Trust TV. Adeni Ajishafe. We'll be looking at that story, but before we do that, let's start from our own story. Nigerian sport first. Athletics, Eric Lira plead guilty to supplying performance-enhancing drugs to Olympic athletes. That's the story we're looking at first, because remember, Blessing Okagbare being sanctioned for about 11 years in her career, and right now the man that did the main thing, Eric Lira, is now pleading guilty after it was charged over there at the U.S. court there. Well, right now, we'll be looking at that story alongside Emmanuel Fashemi. Good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me on this great day. For Blessing Okagbare, well, it's just a pity that she was among the persons that Dr. Lira actually administered enhancing performance drugs to. And what it means right now for the doctor to have plead guilty, that means he actually did it and he knows why. Before administering these drugs to these athletes, he knows the use, and he knows why he did that. But it's just that we have our own athlete who also suffered, who is suffering from that, from this man's should I call it error? No, from this man's doing, because you know that if you are caught, definitely you will be sanctioned, and you went ahead to maybe consult him, have a deal with him, and eventually gave you the drug. And if you look at it at that point in time, Blessing Okagbare was at the best part of her career. We know she was going towards the end of her career at that period, and it was looking as if it was the best part of the whole story about athletics for Blessing Okagbare on the track. And eventually she was sanctioned period just, I think, few hours to that semi-final 100-meter race at the Tokyo Olympics. But good one, the doctor has come out, okay, I did it. Now it's not left for the court, the anti-doping court, WADA and whatever, to decide on the case if the Blessing Okagbare's ban will be reduced or not. But sincerely speaking, it's a bad one for the doctor to have actually administered these drugs to these athletes.
And for the athlete that actually took the drugs too, because they knew. Let's look at a particular statement from the attorney that actually prosecuted our case after the whistleblower, the Russian, Rodchenkov, was able to actually get this out. Lira provided banned performance-enhancing substances to Olympic athletes who wanted to corruptly gain a competitive edge. You see their statement? Who wanted to? That shows that they wanted to before they took it. It's not as if he forced them. It's not as if he brainwashed them. You wanted to. At least I'm sure there could have been other athletes he sold this idea to and they refused. That's why they say, okay, who wanted to corruptly gain a competitive edge? Such craven efforts to undermine the integrity of sport subvert the purpose of the Olympic Games to showcase athletics excellence through a level playing field. That's the main thing. Olympic Games is to showcase athletic excellence through a level playing field. The Real efforts to provide that goal will not go unpunished. And look at it, our own also participated by accepting that particular substance from Lira.
Our own participated because why? I think she needed something to actually boost.
but seriously, looking at that statement, athletes who wanted to corruptly gain. Look at Marianne Jones' career. Despite all she did, all she won. In fact, I still remember how she was winning races as if it was so easy to run. And after everything, they found out, oh, she has been cheating. What happened? Everything she got, she
vanished
just like that. In fact, I saw one of the processes where she was crying and actually apologizing because she deceived the whole world. Why everybody was thinking she was competing very fair.
On a clean
note. And then everything came out like a pack of cards falling on her. Everything just like that. You can imagine, let me cite an example so that you can see the excess of this issue. We are not going to say because maybe she's a Nigerian, yes, but
what is bad is bad.
To some extent, we've seen athletes that going into drugs really brought their career to a halt. Now, you can imagine when she was about getting to the semi-final of that Olympic race, she got sanctioned, and that was it. 11 years. You can know how many years before she can she come back again?
She won't even come, because
that's
by
one.
then.
Two, I was trying to cite an example. Imagine Messi now, Messi, Ronaldo of this world. Now, if tested, and now actually they now discover that all the races they've been running, all the matches they've been playing, all those are what they've won, Ballon d'Or, FIFA. Do you know how people will feel about them? You understand? So I'm just citing Maria Jones' case. For Blessing Okagbare, it's painful that it happened, but for the fact that the man in question, the Eric Lira, who brought this whole issue to them, for the fact that they accepted those drugs from him, you understand?
They know.
For the fact that they accepted it, that was the act. It's so painful that, okay, you know, okay, he was coming with it to you. I don't want. Let me compete. Whatever. If I'm going to come 5th or 6th, I'm okay
with it. Sincerely speaking, it's bad because for the athletes, they eventually know that this drug is a banned substance. It's not that they don't know. And I really want to praise, I really want to give thumbs up to WADA and
the whistleblower, the Russian whistleblower.
No, outside the Russian whistleblower, because WADA has done a lot to see how athletics can be very, very clean.
Why they did that? If the whistleblower did not come up with this,
nobody would have known. Nobody would have known.
As we speak right now, there are still so many out there.
There are so many athletes there that nobody has actually discovered that this is what they are doing. But for WADA, at least to an extent, they have tried. If you are caught, then there's no ignorance. There's a statement that says there's no ignorance in law. Whether you knew where you were taking it or you don't know, definitely you face the punishment. And that is what WADA has been able to do. But at some point, there are still some loopholes because I believe that WADA also should keep, should it be weekly or monthly tabs on all of these athletes? If they
do
can
that,
they can
send mails.
Yeah, the
problem is at times some federations, the athletes, when
neglect all of
this. They don't
this.
check their mails. If you check and you see, be careful. It's not only to consume. What about the cream, the soap,
you use,
whatever that you use? Be careful, because we've seen. Okay, look at Andre Onana. He mistakenly took his wife's drug, and that put him in trouble. It was not it wasn't intentional.
It's not his intention.
You understand? But at least, even though it was not intentional, but the fact that there is no, how do they say it in law?
No ignorance in law.
Okay.
So and that is why we are seeing all of this. But for WADA, congratulations. But I think this will serve as a lesson to a lot of Nigerian athletes, Blessing Okagbare, who is already facing her punishment. And then for other athletes, I remember at some point when Usain Bolt retired, WADA came, they were just looking for something.
They will still be finding, they will still be doing a lot of underground.
And they didn't see anything, and I hope they will never find anything.
So they will still keep digging to check if truly he competed clean. As you remember, Carl Lewis of this world, Ben Johnson of this world, Frankie Fredericks, our own, all the likes of Leison de Bada, when they were running, Innocent Egbunike, all of them, they did everything with all their might and strength.
Natural strength.
You understand? And when Ben Johnson was actually eventually caught, he too faced the music.
That is why I said WADA has actually done enough. Once you are caught, there's no going back, except you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that, okay, I mistakenly took this, or at the time when I took this drug, it was not a banned substance. That is when you know you can be free. But once it has entered into their book that, okay, this substance is banned, if you take it or whatever, you are going for it.
It's so painful that Eric Lira decided to just go out there and make a lot of money from telling athletes that you can take. Seriously, it's just so painful. I can imagine how many athletes now from different countries
will be suffering.
That these are actually put all of them in the same web. Well, let's leave athletics. Let's talk about squash. Squash sports is gaining momentum right now, because as we speak right now over there in Lagos, at Lagos Classic, we look at 19 Nigerians in contention as Lagos Classic serves off over there at Teslim Balogun Stadium. Right now, they are playing. At least we have the life of Onopemi Kwade competing. He's one of our best when it comes to squash. And right now, the ladies, the guys are also trying to see how they can win. $18,000 is not a child's play.
It's not a child's play, because they will actually want to do everything within their power to win it. The last time this event happened was 5 years ago, and it was not a Nigerian that actually, an Egyptian won it. So this time around, we want to see if we can win it. But the truth is, consistency of this event is what we should be looking forward to, because the last time 5 years ago, it's way long.
COVID delayed those events from coming up.
But there are so many events after COVID that
you force them to do the event.
I will not, but consistency is the key. But overall, I think our Nigerian, the names you mentioned, our Nigerians that are there, will not want another foreign country to come and win it this time around. 5 years ago, it's enough for them to prepare for this event. So I just wish all our Nigerian players well, and let's see if a Nigerian player will win the $18,000, and then probably maybe I can just, if I get the phone call.
Okay, I just hope you don't sound Eric Lira. Anyway, we've been talking concerning squash there. It's taking place in Lagos, and the fact that we have about 19 Nigerians competing in that sport called squash is a good thing, because there are some sport that we really need to go into. Even though, yes, we know football is the beautiful bride, everybody goes into that. Even without you just go to football easily. But something like squash, hockey, cricket, these are sports that you have special interest. If you want to go into it, you must have special interest in it, and then you go in and do your thing. I love the fact that we have, I still remember Adeshokon really doing well, and also Dorcas. That's Dorcas, Adeshokon, Onopemipo, Yemisi, all of them, they are sisters, all trying to fight hard to see how they can better their lot. But right now, it seems Adeshokon is out of Nigeria. She's really doing well, and therefore Onopemipo competing now. Hopefully, he can also do well in this competition. They will be competing for $18,000 prize money, where they will be fighting to see how they can also destroy the likes of the Egyptians, who really are very good when it comes to playing squash. They won it 5 years ago. That's an Egyptian going away with that amount of money. But right now, although it's going to be split in different category, but at least we have some Nigerians who are equally very capable of doing well in squash. Away from squash, let's go to the round leader game. The Federations Cup is still coming up, and let's look at Federations Cup round of 32. The round of 64 matches were played, and 32 teams that won their games will be jostling for honors tonight, starting from even from the afternoon. So let's look at the fixtures of those games. 16 teams, or rather 16 fixtures will be coming up. We have Heartland against SNIEFC. They have 32 teams here, but 16 matches will be coming up. Ahudia versus Bende Insurance. Bende Insurance should be careful of that name, Ahudia. We have Standard FC on Sunshine Stars, Battle of the S teams. EFCCFC versus Aqua United. Aqua United should also watch out when you play against EFCCFC. Warri Wolves 3SC, Mighty Jet of Jaws versus Gombe United in the Northern Derby there. You have Osun United against Insurance Feeders, the junior team of Bende Insurance. Sunshine FC, Lobby Stars of Makurdi, Plateau United, Eyimba. What a match. Eyimba actually destroyed Rivers United, so they face Plateau United. Ingas FC against El Kanemi Warriors, who are right now being confirmed out of the MPFL. Nasarawa United also confirmed out of the MPFL. They'll be playing DMD FC, Ikorodu City versus Kwara United. Ibajo FC from Osun, away they'll be playing to that's Ebede FC. Ebede will be playing them. Rangers International, another big one. Kano Pillars have another opportunity to play against their former team when they were in MPFL. That's Rangers versus Kano Pillars. Bunuja FR, what a team they are, against Doma United. And you have Idel FC against Melantaki FC of FCT. Another big one there against Idel FC. Let's look at these fixtures together.
Yeah, the biggest fixtures should be Enyimba and Plateau United, and then Rangers International against Kano Pillars. But for Enyimba and Plateau United, it's just as if it's a repeat of the MPFL fixtures. And you know, when these two sides meet, is always a very is a cracker. And for Enyimba has won the Federation Cup 4 good times, more than all of the remaining teams that are there right now. So they hold that record for themselves, and it's a big plus to them. They have won this Federations Cup more than anything. Against a Plateau United that has lost out of the Super 6 race, and for anybody who is still there, because this is another opportunity for, I think Plateau United wants this game more, because it's an opportunity for you.
If you're able to win this, you can still go continental.
Go continental, and that is why Plateau United want to concentrate all of their energy to see how they can dislodge anybody, and then probably get a feel of what it is to get to the final, and then and probably wins the trophy and then go to the continent. But it's a big one for anybody that is going to have their hand full at just the venue where they are going to play it.
Another match I'm looking at that will be tough. Warri Wolves 3SC actually jumped at Shooting Stars of Ibadan against Warri Wolves. A big match there too.
It's a big match because Warri Wolves have actually started life brilliantly in the NNL. If you see, they were talking tough. I think I had one of my friend who works with them, and the way they are playing in the NNL, they have already promised themselves that they want to come back to the MPFL. And they signed a new coach, and the guy has actually turned things around for them. So for 3SC, well, if they can get anything out of Warri Wolves, probably it's going to end on a draw, and they are going to definitely are going to finish it up.
Rangers Kano Pillars is a match that yes, Kano Pillars are in NNL, but you can't take it away from the same Eziguda boys for the fact that they know this is minus the NNL or MPFL.
We are big boys.
Yes, so you can't take it away from them. Against Rangers, Abdul Mekaba versus Kano Pillars. This is a match I'm looking at. Who will win this game? Flying Antelopes versus Eziguda boys.
Well, for Abdul Mekaba, it's an experienced coach, and ever since joining Rangers International, he has done well for the team. He has been able to push them out of the murky waters and giving them hope of staying in the LPFL this season. And coming against Kano Pillars, who is now finding life, let me say, easy in the NNL, but it's a big one, like you mentioned. Kano Pillars also, they've won this Federations Cup, I think twice or three times. There was a season they won it back to back, and for Rangers International, the last time they tasted anything called FA Cup glory was way long. But as it stands right now, it's a different ball game with different team, with different coach, different tactics. I'm looking forward to see 50-50 chance, if you ask me, because Kano Pillars themselves also is a very good side and a very big team.
Well, from the way it is right now, just showcase those games coming up in the Federations Cup round of 32, where 32 teams will be jostling for honors there to see who stays on. Well, let's see who wins those games. Big one between Rangers International and Kano Pillars. And you look at Enyimba facing Plateau United, another cracker, just as if they are playing the MPFL. Who stays on and who draws? You blink, you are out. The Federations Cup, always very interesting there. Now, let's go to the big one yesterday at the Santiago Bernabeu there in Spain. The Los Blancos versus the Citizens. Well, a big one between Pep Guardiola and Don Carlo Ancelotti. UEFA Champions League semi-final, De Bruyne's turner, and Man City draw against Real Madrid. What a match! Vinicius Junior running as if it was a blade and then getting that goal. But Man City were really equal to the task. They were able to also get at least an equalizer to actually share the sport. They
share the spoils, and it's still an open game to both teams. Everything is going to end in a week's time. That is on Wednesday. If you look at it, from what transpired on the pitch, I think both teams gave their best and they gave their all. For Real Madrid, they were actually solid at the back. They never gave Man City that chance to actually operate or penetrate. They can be playing the balls around. If you look at the possession, they actually hold the possession very well. In all of the department statistics for Man City, they are ahead of Real Madrid. But if you watch at the attack, now Madrid is always deadly while going up front. They got about 2-3 chances to even win that game, to win the game last night. But if not for the brilliance of Ederson and the defense, it would have been 2 or 3-1 against Man City.
Let me cut you there. Looking at that previous picture there, you saw Erling Haaland and the man that's Rudiger. What happened yesterday?
I think it was Rudiger made light work of Erling Haaland. They kept him quiet. Rudiger and Alaba, if one person is going up front, one is staying on him, and that was what they actually did. The only chance they got to get that goal was just because that little opening. And if Luka Modric would have maybe come close to the ball, it wouldn't have even, because it was the blind side of Thibaut Courtois. That was where that ball came from. And for a player like De Bruyne, you know he's going to hit that ball directly to that blind spot. Before you know it, it was in. But for Erling Haaland didn't actually play much part in that game because he was
fizzled out.
He was fizzled out of the game. The only chance he got, Alaba had to throw himself at him and he blocked that ball, resulted to a corner kick. In the return leg, I know they will be playing at home. Erling Haaland is going to have the freedom to operate, but would they give him that chance? Eder Militao will be coming back in that second leg. Camavinga might likely drop into the midfield.
As you mentioned that name, Camavinga is really becoming a force in Real Madrid. He plays so many roles yesterday. In fact, he saved Real Madrid in so many occasions.
In so many occasions, because that is why he was recruited. He's young. They actually wanted a replacement for Casemiro, and they have gotten one in Camavinga. He's versatile. He can play in any of those positions, in the midfield, at the back line, even up front. He can play as a midfielder, maybe a supporting, whatever. But if you look at it, Camavinga was actually instrumental to whatever Real Madrid did on the pitch. No matter how Vinicius got the goal for them, but the man that stood out was Camavinga. And Rudiger also, for him to be to have been able to keep Haaland at bay, they kept him quiet. They made him look, okay, you are still you are a small boy that will know, but this is football. They got their game plan very well and it paid off. It would have been 1-0, but Man City also came with their own game plan and it worked perfectly well by getting that draw. Everything will end on Wednesday. Who wins it is a 50-50 chance. Madrid has the chance to
Wednesday,
win.
let's look at today. But really, for Kevin De Bruyne, really, he showed class. Fantastic player, winning the man of the match, even at the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium, Estadio rather. So he did so well to get that particular. But really, if you look at that game, a lot of little bad blood showing up. The coach Ancelotti getting a yellow card, and the VAR issue about that particular out or not. So much issue there.
Yeah, so much issue there. I think for the very first time, I have always been someone who an advocate of VAR, because I told somebody sometimes ago that when they decided to introduce VAR into football, VAR into football, they never put fans into consideration. They never looked at your feelings as a person. They looked at it, okay, this innovation is going to help the referees. They put referees in front for them to bring in the VAR, and that is why the VAR has come into play. And now, for the first time, I would disagree with VAR. Why? Because that ball has already gone out, and I think the VAR referee, whoever that was in charge last night, has some questions to answer, because Carlo Ancelotti kept on calling for them to review that case. They just, you know, if they want to review, sometimes they will halt the game 5 to 3 minutes. We've seen games where VAR will come into play for 5 minutes. They were still reviewing that decision, and they didn't just review that. They just, in a few seconds, they flipped it over, and then they awarded the goal. Fine. We know that they actually reviewed that ball, but the review was not enough. They would have reviewed it, because the ball has, and Carlo Ancelotti was not. I suspect
you are a Madrid fan.
No, it's not a matter of a Madrid fan. Whoever, anyway, it can happen to Man City tomorrow. Seriously. It can happen to any other team tomorrow.
Just to calm your nerves down, I can see that you're right. I'm not a Man City fan. I'm not a Real Madrid fan. Well, seriously, they've been talking about that match, a really tough one between the Citizens and the Los Merengues. Big match there that happened between Real Madrid and Manchester City. The return leg will be the decider by the time they travel to England. Who stays on? And Ancelotti and Guardiola. Remember that match? He didn't substitute any player. Tough one there. Before we wrap it up, let's talk about Chelsea to offer Aubameyang Kukurea in a deal for Joao Felix, loan to a permanent signing. They want to get him to a permanent signing. So these two players, well, if they want to leave, at least.
Well, if they want to leave, first I will urge Aubameyang to leave the team. For Cucurella, he has not played any better part in Chelsea ever since he joined them. The only thing we see him with is that his full hair, running around the pitch with it.
He has a signature.
But sincerely speaking, if they can actually pull this deal through, for Joao Felix, he's a young man. He still has the energy. He still have years on his side to play.
And there's every possibility that he's going to click with Chelsea.
Yes, he's going to click because if you look at his body language, he actually wants to play. He wants to stay. He wants to play for Chelsea. Whenever he's on the pitch, you see that passion. You see the way he carries the whole thing on the pitch. And if they can get him, it's a big plus for Chelsea.
Well, I really pity Aubameyang. He's not working at all.
At all. That is why he should leave. He should leave because for Bruyne, he's a big player. For him to be suffering in Chelsea, no.
Well, we've just been talking concerning that particular transfer story there for Chelsea. We'll see what they'll be doing concerning those players that will be moving or the one that will be staying. That'll be it on 360 Sport on Trust TV with Emmanuel Fashimi. Thanks so much.
It's been my pleasure.
Adeni Ajishafe. Thanks for watching.